The galaxy had many secrets, but none more feared than the world known as Drajan 4. It was whispered among traders, soldiers, and explorers alike. No one returns from Drajan. The planet was surrounded by an unnatural energy field, a barrier that killed most ships before they could land. Those few who managed to descend were never heard from again. The Galactic Council declared it forbidden territory, warning every species to stay away. To the elders of the galaxy, Drajan was a cursed graveyard. To younger explorers, it was a legend, a temptation too strong to ignore. And for one human named Daniel Kale, it was a challenge. Daniel had grown up on Earth listening to stories of forbidden worlds, of places where alien civilizations dared not tread. He believed in something different, that fear was only a wall built by ignorance. When he saw the coordinates of Drajan flash across an old star chart, he made a decision. One man, one ship, one world of secrets. He would set foot on the forbidden planet and live. Daniel's ship, the Solace, shook violently as it pierced through the chaotic field surrounding Drajan. Lightning-like arcs of energy struck the hull, alarms screamed, and the AI warned of imminent destruction. But Daniel, with human stubbornness and hands steady as stone, guided the vessel through. The storm broke suddenly. Below stretched a world of shadows and light. Black mountains clawed at the sky. Rivers glowed with faint blue fire, and forests of silver trees swayed though there was no wind. The planet was breathtaking, but it felt alive, watching him. Daniel landed in a valley of broken stone. His boots touched the soil with a crunch that echoed through the emptiness. For a moment, silence. Then a whisper, not sound, but something in his mind. 1,000 voices murmured at once, questioning, judging, remembering. Every other explorer before him had collapsed under this psychic weight, their minds shattered. But Daniel stood firm. His heart pounded, but he whispered back aloud, "I am human. I am here." The voices recoiled in surprise, as though the world itself had not expected defiance. Daniel began his exploration, recording every detail. The air was thin but breathable. The land seemed untouched, yet beneath the soil he found ruins, massive pillars carved with symbols that glowed faintly as he neared them. But he was not alone. From the shadows emerged figures unlike anything he had seen, towering beings of stone and metal, their bodies etched with the same glowing symbols. Their eyes blazed with blue fire, and their steps shook the earth. They were the guardians of Drajan, ancient machines created to defend the planet's secrets. One guardian raised a weapon of pure energy, aiming it at him. Any other species would have fled in terror. Daniel instead planted his feet and stared back. "I'm not your enemy," he said firmly, "but I won't bow either." For the first time in millennia, the guardians hesitated. They scanned his mind, and found something they had never encountered before, a will unbroken by fear. The guardians lowered their weapons. One knelt, its stone face hovering close to his. A voice thundered in his head. "Why do you walk where none may walk?" Daniel's answer was simple. "Because I can." The guardians surrounded him, and the valley shifted. Reality itself bent, and suddenly Daniel was no longer on the rocky ground. He stood in a vast hall of light, filled with shifting images. He was inside the memory core of Drajan. The planet's history unfolded before him. Civilizations older than stars, empires that had risen and fallen, wars that had burned across galaxies. Drajan was no cursed world. It was a vault of knowledge, a library sealed away by its creators. But there was a price. Every explorer who set foot here had been tested. The core demanded strength not of body, but of spirit. Those who faltered were consumed, their minds dissolved into the endless archive. The voices pressed against Daniel, trying to break him. They showed him visions of Earth's destruction, of his family forgotten, of humanity erased. They whispered that he was small, meaningless, fragile. Daniel closed his eyes and remembered something simple: the laughter of his little sister back on Earth, the smell of rain on his homeworld soil. the sound of humanity's first steps on the moon. He whispered back, "We are fragile, but we endure." The voices faltered. The trial bent, but did not break him. The core revealed its truth. Drajan had once been home to the architects, a race so advanced they shaped stars and built galaxies into patterns of art. But they feared their creations turning against them. So they locked away their greatest secrets on Drajan, guarded by machines and storms. The galaxy called it cursed because the architects had willed it so, but Daniel had broken through where all others failed. A guardian stepped forward and extended a hand, placing within Daniel's palm a shard of crystal, pulsing with light. This belongs to those who endure. The shard contained knowledge, energy, beyond fusion, technology that could heal worlds and the key to traverse distances faster than light itself. Humanity, still young in the stars, had been gifted the legacy of the architects. When Daniel returned to the Galactic Council with proof of his journey, chaos erupted. Species that had lived for tens of thousands of years could not believe a human, a species barely out of their cradle, had done the impossible. Some called him a liar. Others demanded the crystal be surrendered. A few whispered that humanity should be destroyed before they grew too strong. But Daniel stood before them all and spoke. "You called Drajan forbidden. You said no one could walk its surface and live. But I did. Not because humans are the strongest or the oldest, but because we do not give in to fear." His words spread like fire. To some species, they were dangerous. To others, they were hope. For the first time, the younger races of the galaxy looked to humanity not as newcomers, but as leaders. The council could not touch him. To strike against the one who had survived Drajan would be to admit their own fear. Years later, when the IR story of Daniel Cale was told across the stars, it always began the same way. He set foot on the forbidden world and lived. The shard he carried became the seed of a new age. Humanity used its power not to conquer, but to build, to heal, to explore. Ships powered by its secrets reached galaxies that had been untouched since time began. But more important than the crystal was the lesson Daniel brought back. That courage was stronger than fear. That will could outlast eternity. On a quiet night aboard the Solace, Daniel looked at the stars and smiled. He had faced the whispers of a dead civilization and answered with the voice of the living, and the galaxy would never be the same again.